how they have animal people. It's a cultural thing. Hybrid.
Good morning, Bridgette.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hey, Bridgette.
Hey, we can hear you. Oh, good. It is pounding snow here again.
Oh, lovely.
It's good to have you here. It's been a while. Yeah. Been doing a lot of planetary work, let's just say that. I'm excited to hear about it. Yeah. All right, everybody has wake-up voice, huh?
Yep. We're in the last 2 minutes when the show is already... We've started the recording, but I have to wait because my clock on starting the show kicks off at 7, but my tablet's still at 6:58, and so the show won't start until the tablet says 7 o'clock. And it's a guessing game. You never know when the show's actually going to start, but you know, whenever it comes on, no matter what somebody's saying or that, I'll start into good morning, good afternoon, and the whole routine. So we got it down.
Break an egg.
So yeah, we're in the waiting stalls, and there's probably another minute left because it's still on 6:58. So they released the Zim.
I love that video you sent me this morning.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about.
He was so calm and collected, and the Fox News guy just told. But you know, this is the thing: is like you can kind of, you know, I mean, yes, it's a Fox News guy, you know, blah 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 blah, but it's a typical kind of American behavior. You know what I mean? To like jump off into the rage deep end like rapidly without being able to have a conversation.
Yep.
More so than friends of mine who live abroad, you know, because they're like, well, calm down, let's talk about this. You know, let's have like a debate, a conversation about it. And Americans are like, I don't want to have a conversation.
You are right on there.
Yeah, as Americans, it's like no religion, no politics. Yeah, no nothing. How's the weather? How's the weather where you are?
It was snowing yesterday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. No matter where you are in the world today, you are currently on the new way. Now, there's always something going on. I've got Bridgette Dolgoff as my main guest today, and we're going to start off with some Buffalo Springfield.
Something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. There's battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds are getting so much resistance from behind. Time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the street. sounds and to carry inside. Mostly say hooray for our side. It's time to stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Paranoia strikes deep into your life. It will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man come and take you away. We better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Now, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound?
Yeah, that's my show tune for our bumper music when the guest is somebody I want to listen to. I want everybody to stop, hey, listen to the sound. And we're good sound here on The New Way, on Steampunk Radio, on your TuneIn app. So everybody enjoy. Howdy, Bridgette. What's up with you today?
Nothing. I'm just in the wake up phase. Getting woken up and actually, this is probably a good time for me to be on the show because there's been a lot going on like the last month. And there's just a lot of other, quite a few other things that I've been thinking about. And just, with a lot of the changes and stuff that are going on and thoughts. And I kind of gotten addicted. I think people might crack up out there, but I've got a little bit addicted to Roseanne Barr and her YouTube channel. There's a lot of controversy about her or whatever else, but she's a studier of the Torah, and the, Kabbalah, what they call it Jewish mysticism or Jewish witchcraft, kind of thing. And she puts out these little short videos just on different kinds of thinking. And she had one 4 days ago where she was talking about how last June she tweeted something about the Iran deal after she, kind of had an ambient. She had to have an ambient to go to sleep. And then she kind of woke up kind of in this ambient state, and she felt like, God had given her a message. And she was like, oh, yeah, in the moment, oh, yeah, I really need to get this out to the world. And then she's like, tweeted it all out. Sounded good to her. It was a great message. And then she said she got, so much, hate, Twitter hate over it, and public hate. And she said she's just starting to realize, that she thinks that it was the early timeline. She said, so maybe this June that people will actually get what she was trying to say about the whole thing. And I was thinking about how more and more, my life, I've always been awake. There hasn't ever been a point where I've ever been asleep. I didn't have a family who was asleep either. And so it's interesting to watch, all of these people finally getting past the kind of awakening process and being able to convey things that they're working with, they know, or that, they understand. And so it's interesting to watch, a language develop. Because for my whole life, I didn't really have a language that was really compatible with the public. It was more, discussions around ETs or vampires or, experiences or kind of experiences that I had most of my life and as a child, which are pretty intense, didn't really come with, a vocabulary. And so it's kind of cool to see people starting to kind of build some kind of vocabulary. I mean, it is a restricted vocabulary, but at least it's a new vocabulary nonetheless.
Yeah, when we first met, I was already awake, so I didn't have to go through that. But I do know that from the time I realized there was something wrong in like 1999, 2000, to the point where it actually fell apart and I figured things out and then started on a new journey. It was quite the pathway. And so I'm glad to have you as a spiritual guide and a counter reference. Well, some of the stuff we see really is wild, isn't it?
Well, I think for the masses it's pretty wild. Lately, what's been really wild for me is there are some pretty amazing people who have popped up on YouTube in the last couple of years. Like people that, blow my mind. There's a guy who has the UAP channel, and he's been posting a lot of stuff about, way deeper about the fake moon landing and the fact, and this is something that I've been telling people for 30 years, is that NASA was never a space program. They were a human weapon program. They were the MK Ultra. They were, designing people as psychic weapons. They weren't really building anything to go anywhere else. And I'm not really sure that they were smart enough to actually reverse engineer, alien technology. So there's a whole bunch of other stuff. There's like that Tartarian stuff that's really coming out, that there would have been more extermination on the planet. Like, it's starting to come down to the thing that everything that anyone has ever believed on this planet is a total, complete lie. It's a total, complete farce. And there are people that are smart enough that are actually, figuring this out and, putting this information out into the public to allow people in a good way to retain it or not retain it, or something to think about that's not, in your face, in rage or anger or hostility. It's in a peaceful way. And I really love these people that are doing, the Tartarian stuff and this history stuff, because they play like this really calm music in the background while they do it, and they talk really soft and calm, and it's like this whole movement of trying to get people focused, calm. And so you like to watch their stuff because it makes you feel calm, and you're like, wow, look at that. And there aren't any red flags that, raise in your mind. The red flags are like, wow, I've really been lied to.
I don't know.
It looks like, we haven't even really been able to actually leave the atmosphere. Like, a lot of this is like, kind of a total farce. And then it makes us more kind of like in a petri dish. So I've kind of been going down the line of a whole lot of, a lot of the shamanism work that I've been involved with, and all the different teachers I've had and studied with, and the vocabulary that they used, because it was a limited vocabulary, and that, maybe what they were really trying to say, if there was like, a more open vocabulary about some of these experiences, and trying to explain, a lot of this understanding, because I think about it, like, I'm not really sold completely on the flat earth thing. I'm not really kind of completely sold on, the planet being a globe. But what I am kind of sold on is that there are controllers of some type, and we are more so a petri dish of development. And, obviously, people don't really like to hear this, but, created for slavery, and also a food supply. That's pretty, we even having humans eating humans. That's kind of a big deal right now, right? So where would they learn something like that? maybe from the people who control them, right?
I wonder
So,
if there aren't multiple renditions of Earth, and that different Earths have different histories based on these basic timelines, but that the basic timelines can be altered, and that maybe the Mandela effect is the past changing to meet a different future, that we've decided not to go to the other options, because we were basically given two options, both of which were false. But you need a false to get to the next true.
Yeah, well, this is the thing is that people need things. Like, they need to make up the Mandela effect, right? For it to soften the blow of the truth, you know? So this is, I was watching this other video on this guy who has been following the Schumann frequency of the Earth. And the last week, the Schumann frequency has been, like, off. And he said it's almost like they're flipping a switch. Schumann frequency on. Schumann frequency off. Schumann frequency on. Schumann frequency off. And we could say, you know, if this was like a holographic experience, right? Like, we could say the AI is broken. You know, like the original AI that was put here to create this, you know, environment probably was pretty positive. You know, it was developed, the world was a beautiful place. It worked in harmony with humans. It was developed in a way where it would be a perfect environment to incorporate some type of humans. It would have been a very alkaline type place, and everything would have been edible. We would have been breathing in. So, you know, the whole breatharian thing, people don't really get that. Even the people who do it don't get it. But it goes back to the beginning of when this reality was first established. And everything had pollen. Everything released pollen into the air like snow. And our lungs have the ability to actually breathe that pollen in, and it would collect into our lungs, and our lungs would actually are a digestive system as well. You know, they're a digestive and eliminatory organ, just like our skin, just like our colon, you know, just like our stomach. You know, most of our systems are digestive and eliminatory. But we don't have a planet, because it's been destroyed, that produces pollen in our atmosphere. So original breatharians would have just fed off the pollen in the air. Nowadays, if you're a breatharian and trying to live off the chemtrail air, you're probably not going to do very well, because it doesn't even have any, you know, it doesn't have any energy to it. It doesn't have any life force in it. It's purely polluted and contaminated. So a lot of these, you know, belief systems that have, you know, run down into our society now are totally in neglect of facts and truth about, you know, the origination of it and what it meant. Now, I really think that, so I think that the AI over time, because there has been, you know, takeover, there's been, you know, extraterrestrial takeover, multidimensional takeover, and all kinds of different kinds of takeover, computer technology takeover. You know, I believe that, you know, even like a corn, more and more I'm working with a lot of people with native seed and native corn, and I have a lot of these kind of people on my radio show. And we have dialogues and discussion about, you know, seeds like Stephen Smith, who I had on a couple weeks ago. He's like 22. He's unbelievably so brilliant. I can't even imagine what this kid's going to be when he's my age. But he, you know, we talk about like the seed, and like, you know, a couple of the seeds that he has now that, you know, can be dated back 5,000 years. And he said, you know, what they're like computer systems, you know, what they have in them, we don't know. Because we don't really know what our real history or anything like that is. But we know that if we plant them in the ground, in an area where we're at, it changes the dirt, it changes the air, it changes the water, it changes the animals, it changes the insects, and it imprints, you know, they're in a computer-like chip way, right? So, and then when you eat that food, you know, especially if you don't cook it and you eat it raw, you know, all that energy goes into your body and it imprints you, right? It can imprints your AI system. So we're like all these like individual AI systems, and, you know, collaborating, you know, kind of, and taking in data and information. And so I really think like the AI, you know, the original AI has been hijacked. And this is the other point too, is that I know for a fact that this world is restrained, that there is, that whatever comes into this reality is can also be part of the propaganda and the belief systems, right? And sometimes we get kind of stuck on different belief systems that stop us from continuing to look down, you know, the road. For example, I went through this period where I was highly being gang stalked. And not only was I being gang stalked, but I was also being gang stalked by, you know, like men in black kind of people, even though I never really saw the men in black people. And I also was gang stalked by people on the ground, you know, using their computers and stuff. So if I would show up at the same place and walk my dog for over 3 or 4 days, then I would have like this massive gang stalking going on. And I could tell, I could just pull up into the parking lot. You know, I have some tweaker like staring at me and typing, you know, here I'm at a trailhead. It's like, dude, what the hell are you doing? You don't even have hiking boots on. You don't have anything. You're like not going to be, you know, hiking a trail. And I'd have to get to where I'd show up to these places, and then I would just have to get in my car and turn around and leave, because I had no idea what was going to happen. You know, I've had attempted kidnapping from NASA and things like this before early on in my life. So I don't trust anybody. Like, you know, I see what's going on. But in particular, one time I was being gang stalked at this one trailhead. There was no one there. Me and my dog, we went on the trailhead. The next thing I know, we're like halfway down into the canyon. I hear a helicopter. And it comes over, and it's this like really small, super, you know, brand new, shiny black, can't see in the windows, black helicopter. And I thought, oh, great, men in black. This is going to be an interesting day because I'm out here alone in this canyon. And so it just totally circled me and circled me and circled me and circled me and circled me until I was like, you know what? It followed me up the ridge. I said, you know, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to leave because I just can't handle the harassment. So I was getting up the canyon, and I look up, and it's flying away, and literally it vanishes in the sky. Not just vanishes. I think vanish is like one of those controlled language words, right? It actually copy-pasted itself out of this reality to the other side, right? And people could say, well, it was veiled, it vanished, you know. I think those are very limiting type words because it almost like copy-pasted itself out. So then I was like, you know, my senses were really heightened to like really pay attention to what was going to go on. So I got up the trailhead, I'm to my car. I get in my car and I'm leaving the parking lot. And right when I'm leaving the parking lot, this big, you know, brand new black, no license plate, you know, men in black type tinted Suburban, literally, bam, shows up, appears right when I'm getting ready to turn onto the road right in front of me. And it almost like it was delayed, you know what I mean? Like it should have been behind me kind of a thing, but it ended up getting copy-pasted into in front of me instead of behind me. So it started to haul ass down this really curvy road down this mountain. And so here I am in my van and I'm like tearing after it, you know, like high speed. Because I'm like, what the hell is going on? And right when I turned the corner, man, it was gone. It didn't go, you know, anywhere else, but it like, you know, copy pasted itself out. And so the thing is like whatever is going on here, they're using a system to copy paste in and out, in and out. And this is the other issue, is that we don't really know how to do that. So in ancient shamanism, they knew how to do that, copy paste themselves in and out of here, mostly out of here, to get the hell out of this place, because this was, they considered a horrible world, you know, like a horrible dimension, kind of a place. So, you know, more and more I'm wondering, like, you know, how small it is, how contained it is, you know, maybe where the edge is. And so a lot of the shamanism work that I've done in my past and the people I've studied with, you know, I've seen people, I'm not going to call it vanish anymore, because I think it's
Dematerialize?
Or, you know,
Get beamed away by Scotty?
What's that?
Dematerialized or beamed away by Scotty. Or like the movie Dogma, where the hockey guys rip the scene and walk into the fabric.
Yeah, I think it's more like, you know, copy pasting. You know,
Okay.
I think it's more like computer. You take a code and you copy paste it, you know, like building a website. Oh, I want to have this over here. So I copy paste the code, it lands there. And once I know that code, then it's easy for me to like go in and out, right? Kind of a thing. And shamans are really good at this. You know, I've seen them, you know, not vanish, I hate that word, but copy paste themselves out of here to somewhere else, right? And then copy paste themselves back in. Because I think it has a lot to do with the code. And I really think that this, if it's a holographic system, it's more like, you know, an AI or, you know, kind of, it's more of a computer system. And our bodies work that way. You know, our brain is a hard drive. If, you know, you know, what did they used to call those, you know, lines that they ran in the ground so they could connect phones? What was that?
Cables?
Cables, yeah, but they called it like, there was like a special word for a while.
BTC?
Anyway, you know, our spinal column and our cerebral cord is the cable. So the brain is the hard drive of the whole system. It tells through the cable to the different parts of the body when your liver should regenerate, you know, when your lungs should regenerate. And if there's any compression or collapse or herniation or whatever else in your spinal column, then that signal between the brain and those organs or parts of your body stop working. So you're really like just one giant computer system as well. And most of your operating equipment, because it's like a car, are hydraulic pumps. You know, it's just we don't see ourselves that way, right? We separate ourselves out. We separate cars from bodies. We separate the brain. We separate animals and fish. You know, everything's separated. But there's some commonalities that our bodies are really, you know, organic machines. You know, our blood is, you know, like oil. You know, a lot of my native teachers call the blood, you know, is crystalline. And the blood communicates, you know, like a crystal form with the world around us. That's why it's important to get enough nutrient. If you get nutrient depleted, your blood isn't going to have the metals or the minerals in it to actually, you know, reflect and take in information or send out information, right? You're not going to have that ability anymore. That's why health is like, your biological health is really, really super important factor in this journey. So one of the things I've been thinking a lot about from shamanism teacher, you know, I saw it'd been a long time since I watched the Truman Show.
Okay.
And I watched it a couple weeks ago, and I've really been thinking about it. Because what if it's that easy, you know? Because the shamans of the old age or sorcerers, I mean, a lot of the ones that do a lot of the heavy dreaming work, like the Yakis and the Toltecs and things like that, where they actually can copy paste themselves out of this world into another world and back physically too, right? They take their body with them. And there's a story. I'll tell you a story. So a really good friend of mine, who I haven't seen in a really long time, her name is Heather Valencia, and she wrote a book called The Queen of Dreams. She was a trophy wife for one of the largest, I think, cocaine dealers in the world back in the day. And she's like she's probably like 20 years older than me, maybe. She would just, her job being the trophy wife of this major drug dealer was basically she just had all of her gold and jewels on, and she just floated around in her bikini in a pool, like in a big mansion kind of setting, and there's all kinds of people with loaded, automatic weapons and just all kinds of crazy stuff. And what happened was that she started to have like someone visit her, like, let's just say through the dreaming world. And it turned out to be, as mind-blowing as this is, the last real powerful dreaming medicine chief of the Yaqui Nation. So he would visit her. He would come through the dreaming world and visit her. And the book talks a lot about a lot of her experiences. Eventually, she decided to leave her, drug dealer, cush life, leave her husband and everything. So she packed up a U-Haul and drove out into the, basically the middle of the desert and went there. And then ended up going through a ceremony and marrying him, Somo. Now, Somo was the last powerful, line that knew all of the practices and traditions to do a lot of the dreaming work. And I'm going to explain to people what this means. This isn't like you go to sleep and have a dream. There, Carlo Castaneda, pointed it out. There's a lot of other people who've pointed it out, that there are 4 levels of attention, that you have to work on through your sleep dreaming at night dreaming. So what happened is that when she first got there, she'd only been there 2 weeks. Okay, so now she's on a poverty-stricken reservation. She really loves Somo. They've been connecting through the dreaming world for a long time before she decided to leave her cush life. She said she didn't realize how hard this life was going to be. And then 2 weeks after they got there, his daughter, who was 16 to 18, was in the bathroom. And then all of a sudden there's this fighting going on in the bathroom, right? Doors being kicked and the door's locked and there's screaming and yelling going on. And then all of a sudden it's hush and Somo goes in there, breaks the door down, and his daughter's gone. Because, there's people in the dreaming world who are powerful that snatched the daughter physically out of this reality and took her to another reality, right? So Somo said, look, I've got to go to Heather. I'm sorry, but I've got to go take care of my wife. So he goes out. She watches him walk out, 30 feet to this outhouse. He shuts the door. Oh, and before he leaves, he says, nobody's allowed to use that outhouse, right? Nobody's allowed to open the door, use the outhouse, don't change it in any way, shape, or form, and stay away from it, right? Till I get back. So he literally, is gone, copy-pastes himself out of this reality in his physical body for a couple weeks, 10 days or whatever. He's surfing the other realities, trying to find his daughter. Well, he finally finds her, and Heather says, one morning she's drinking coffee, and then she hears this thud in the bathroom, and she opens the door, and it's his daughter. She's pretty shaken up, but, she's back. And so then, an hour or so later, he thuds right into the outhouse and then comes out. And, she was really new to a lot of the stuff that was going on. But these are people, these are people that have been practicing this kind of dreaming work for a really, really long time. So when they talk about dreaming work, you know, it's interesting how, like, in our society, that they've turned it into like some kind of, you know, Jungian stuff or Freudian stuff, or, you know, books on what, you know, like a regular dream means, when the art of dreaming, the real true dreaming medicine, is actually an ancient shamanism art that you can take yourself and your physical body, you know, in and out of different kinds of realities, right? Through really long-term, lifetime traditional practices. And those are the kind of practices that I'm really fond of and really like interested in, including the generating power. I'm very big on the generating power for long-term longevity, and having, you know, a body that's strong enough to be able to move in and out, or attempt to try to move in and out of these landscapes. So I think that a lot, maybe it's like the Truman Show. So a lot of the hard languages, you know, or language that I've tried to, you know, learn from my teachers and a lot of this other stuff, and trying to figure out how it fits, it's from a language where, you know, these ancient shamans and sorcerer people, you know, had their own language, and they had the way that they communicated these ideas in their language, but then they had to like learn English, and that, you know, it's lost a lot in the translation, right? It's become a limited languaging on how to explain some of this stuff. So I was thinking the other day about how, you know, like the Truman Show is kind of like what the dreaming medicine is like, sort of, in a very physical way. Because what does he do? I mean, the whole sky in the Truman Show is fake, right? It's a dome sky. It's fake. Maybe some of these flat earthers that are talking about this dome, you know, that's over us, maybe that kind of might be true. But anyway, the whole sky is fake in the Truman Show, you know, the whole town, and most everybody's in on it, but the actual Truman, you know, he has no idea. And then once he starts to kind of figure out what's going on, there's surveillance. What do we have in this? What do we have going on in surveillance? This 5G. What are they really after with the 5G? Total surveillance, right? Even being able to know what you're thinking at the speed of thought, knowing what you're thinking while you're thinking it, right? Mind you, 5G is going to kill you, right? It's a matter of time before it totally kills you. It kills all life. And there's no way that you know, can protect yourself from it. I mean, in the UK, Mark Steele is like, you know, an expert. I've had him on my show. And he says thousands of people are dying from the 5G that's being installed, you know. And look at what happened to California and the Paradise and all that stuff. I mean, the top firemen of the California Fire Department, the president, is coming out publicly saying that the fires, without a shadow of a doubt, were done by weapons shooting from the sky, laser beams, the smart meters, and 5G, right? Because a lot of people in the Paradise area, their cell phones caught on fire. If they were right outside of the area when the 5G, you know, pulse hit, then it just cooked their phones and stuff like that. So they sent the signal even through people's phones. That's why, you know, you have 4 people in a house and the whole thing, you know, literally exploded. It didn't really catch on fire, exploded and incinerated people where they stood. That's why there's, you know, the rate is like, I think 60,000 people, they think now totally in all those areas, you know, were incinerated. So if it's like the Truman. So I was thinking about this, like, where's the edge? You know, like Truman found the edge, right? He found the edge of the reality that they had him stuck in, this, you know, movie set. And that's kind of like what a lot of the extraterrestrials that I've had conversations with call what we're living in. It's kind of like the movie set. And that's why they use, Hollywood and all this other stuff to design movie sets, and why everything connects to the parts of your brain that are heightened emotional sensitivity in movie sets, because then you start to actually look at your world like a movie set that you're interacting with or living in. And when your movie set becomes too difficult to deal with, then you sit in front of your couch and you watch this other movie set of, other people in some kind of drama or trying to fix things. And there's always this hero thing. There's always this hero's journey, which also stimulates the part of your brain that is symbolic and emotional, that teaches you to not do anything and not really take any action, because there's a hero out there that's going to come and save it, right? And so they've been imprinting this hero into our consciousness for forever. I mean, Jesus is just that, right? Jesus is an actor in the original types of oral stories of when, I believe that the first MK Ultra, I think some of the, first in our physical time frame, I think it's, the Bible is, the whole, religion thing around Jesus was definitely a seriously MK Ultra program, in order to get us to not do anything but, allow Jesus to handle it. And I think it's kind of transferred a little bit into this whole galactic thing, and galactic beings saving us. So, though that there are, a lot of extraterrestrials that come in and out of this reality, but a lot of them don't want to interact with us at all. And it's like they have a job when they come here. They're developing parts of the movie set. And I think, I think they're really testing us these days. And I really think that I think we're in a really serious extermination process of the biological suit, which really shouldn't stress people out, because if you believe that there's part of yourself that's immortal, then it shouldn't really matter what they're doing to you, on some level, or to your body. Now, should you fight to expose them? Of course you should, right? Of course you should fight to expose them, but from a neutrality place, not one where you're totally afraid that you're, going to die. I mean, part of the shamanism, ancient shamanism, is that the rites of passage that they would put you through were death. And they would put you through death processes all the time, to get you past the point of whether you cared if you physically died or not. It didn't really even matter to you, and it didn't really even care, because you didn't really have any really attachment to this world, right? But you operated in this world, and you operated in this world like a different way, and maybe awake enough that you could find the door out, like Truman, or maybe being able to find the edge of this reality, and, just literally walking through the door to the other side. And I think it's less of I think that it's like a lot of these shamanisms and teachers and people that I've had, I took this as like, I always had this really hard time trying to figure out, okay, how do I use these practices and take my body with me? And then, once I've achieved a certain level of practice, like literally my body doesn't age anymore, right? And there's one of my favorite characters is in the Lynn Andrews first trilogy. She's gone on to write like 20 books, but in the first trilogies, she is taken in by these kind of indigenous women's group, the Sister Shields, and is trained to do different kinds of, dreaming work and multidimensional work. And there's a character called the Twin Dreams, and she was an indigenous person that lived like 2,000 years ago, who basically it was said could walk through timelines. Now, this is the deal. Maybe she found the edge. Maybe she found like the physical edge. But she would pop